Caleb Swanepoel, an award-winning actor and shark attack survivor, has won gold at the International Tourism Film Festival Africa with this short film, Caleb Beyond the Bites. We'll be delving into the story of this brave hero and advocate for the very predator that took his leg. And moving on to Hollywood, Superman has soared higher beyond every expectation in its pre-ticket sales, and in its wake, with the force of its flight, has crashed the Fandango website. We'll be delving into these stories and more right here on the Film Mandate on YouTube. My name is Papa Otu. Stay tuned. Thank you once again for joining me for this episode of the Film Mandate, where I bring to you movie news, reviews, and reactions both from the African front and the international scene. So, today we'll be delving into a very powerful, emotional story that, I mean, when I saw the article, when doing the research, I saw the article, I was like, no, I need to go with this very story. Even though I must say that I've never had any encounter of such sort with, I mean, any of this. But then I thought it's a very powerful story that I think we can take on in this very episode. So, this is a story of a young, brave hero or South African who has won big with this short film, and his name is Caleb Swanepoel, who is an award-winning actor and a shark attack survivor. And in the wake of his shark attack, has gone back to swim with the very sharks, or I mean, the white shark that took his leg. And it's quite an inspiring story. So I like to read this article published in Cape Town, etc. And it reads that South African film wins gold at International Tourism Film Festival Africa. A South African, uh, this so a South African short film has made headlines on the world stage, winning gold at the prestigious 2025 International Tourism Film Festival Africa (ITFFA), celebrated on World Ocean Day. Cape Town, etc. reports. Titled Caleb Beyond the Bite, this conservation film, produced by Wild Trust in collaboration with Love Africa Marketing, was released just a year ago, but has already garnered significant acclaim, making it the fourth festival to recognize its compelling narrative. With over 450 entries from around the globe, the ITFFA culminated in a glamorous red carpet event held at the Hotel Sky in Sandton, Johannesburg. The award signifies not just artistic brilliance but also a powerful message about ocean conservation that resonated with judges and audiences alike. The film was truly inspirational. It delivered a very strong and necessary message that resonated deeply with our judges and attendees of the film festival, remarked ITFFA festival organizer Caroline Angersbach. At the heart of Color Beyond the Bites is para-athlete, actor, and shark bite survivor Caleb Swanepoel. The film chronicles his emotional return to the ocean, a poignant journey where he once again swims with sharks, the very species that changed his life irreversibly in 2015. More than just a wildlife film, it explores a deeply human narrative that challenges public fear surrounding sharks while underscoring their essential role in South Africa's marine ecosystem. I'm incredibly excited that the film has been recognized at the ITFFA Awards. It means so much that More people around the world will now get to see the film and hopefully connect with its message. Being part of the project and a team that's having an impact and changing the narrative around sharks in a real pri- privilege. It's a real privilege, pardon me, said Swanepoel. Released as part of Wild Trust's Under Attack campaign. Color Beyond the Bites aims to elevate awareness about the urgent need for shark and ray conservation in South African waters. The narrative not only illuminates the emotional journey of personal transformation, but also highlights the critical impact of public perception on species survival. With South Africa being a hotspot for shark and ray diversity, hosting approximately 200 species, many of which are endemic and facing threats from habitat loss and overfishing. The film serves as a clarion call. It advocates for the protection of these often misunderstood creatures through empathy and education, ultimately encouraging policy change. Caleb gives me hope for shark conservation. If he can shift his perspective on sharks after such a traumatic experience, then there is hope for all of us to do the same, stated Wild Trust shark scientist Lady Necker, who appears alongside Swanepoel in the film. Yeah, in the film. So it is indeed a powerful, moving story, and I think I would encourage you to go and watch it. I think I'll leave a link to of the video in the description below so that you can take a look at it. But when I saw this story, the first thing that came to mind was Jaws, the Steven Spielberg summer blockbuster film, and I actually don't swim, so I don't even foresee myself going to the sea to, swim with sharks. I mean, let alone swim with sharks. But I've realized that the whether we like it or not, animals that are considered predators exist in our world, and they all help balance the ecosystem of a sort. And along the food chain, there's a lot that, you know, there's a role predators play in the food chain. And it's necessary that their lives are conserved, regardless of what we may think. And it looks, when you watch this documentary, a short film, it's actually even more of a story about one being able to conquer their fears even after a very gruesome attack on their lives or failure, regardless of the, I mean, depending on the venture or regardless of the venture they pursued, that leading them to encounter such a challenge. And in the story, you realize that if you watch the short documentary, he went back 9 years later to swim with sharks in close proximity in the oceans, I mean, around South Africa. And it was quite scary. Knowing what we know about shark attacks from all over the world, you would assume that having been attacked yourself, you would want to stay away from any of these animals. But no, Caleb was brave and bold enough to go back. As a matter of fact, if you check other um, videos of his, 3 weeks after the attack, he went back into the ocean. And it's quite surprising because, I mean, you would think that 3 weeks later, you are still traumatized, having PTSD, and you wouldn't want anything to do with the ocean, but not Caleb. He went back into the ocean after 3 weeks. I'm like, wow, this guy is the real life superhero. I mean, I'm sure he had his own fears, but he was bold enough to brave the odds and go back to the very ocean that he was attacked. And that is quite amazing. And not only that, but he is now an advocate in the conservation of sharks and stingrays or ray fishes. especially along the coast of South Africa. Particularly, South Africa has over 200 species of sharks and rays that the world over, the idea is to push forward to ensure that they survive so that they don't go extinct. And I'm so amazed by his story, looking at the fact that it to be attacked by a shark and going back into the ocean is one thing, but to end up being an advocate for the very animals or the very shark that attacked you or the very species of shark that attacked you is another thing altogether. And indeed, I think his documentary or short film is indeed a story of, uh, I know it may not sound right, but it's a story of forgiveness. It's a story of conquering one's fears, and it's a story of living your life regardless of the deficiency you may, I mean, or whatever you are lacking. Regardless of that, conquer your fears and live your life as if nothing has happened. And that is how powerful Caleb Beyond the Bite story is. So I watched this documentary and I was like, I was really moved by the story, and I thought I would share it because it is amazing. And not just that, Caleb is not just any ordinary actor in Africa, but he starred in films like the Kissing Booth. Let me see if I can recall it right. But yeah, so he starred in Kissing Booth 2, Kissing Booth 2, Deep Waters, and Outlook. So he is actually an actor in the field of work, and despite all of this, he didn't let this stop him. He had this attack in 2015, and yet he did Kissing Booth in 2020, and even he actually did Outlook in 2016. So he didn't let anything stop him from, living his life the way he wanted to on his own terms and not on the fact that he's lost his leg. And that is how powerful and inspirational his life actually is. I'm so inspired by his life so much that it makes me understand and listen, regardless of whatever you've been through, confront your fears, deal with it, let it go. I mean, forgive and let it go, and live the best life that you can. So Caleb's Swanepoel story is amazing. It's so amazing. I don't think I will have the heart to be able to, I mean, let go, get over my traumas, get back into the ocean. And the part that amazes me a lot that I don't know whether I'll be able to is to be an advocate for the very shark that took your leg. I mean, his story is so inspirational. No wonder he won against over 450 entries into this very festival, a festival that promotes any medium that I mean, so it's a festival that promotes or rather supports any medium that promotes tourism and culture, regardless of it being a film, television, commercial, whatsoever. This festival is meant for that. And indeed, Caleb's story is so powerful that I can and I understand clearly why he won I mean, against this over 450 entries into this very festival. So, congratulations. Caleb, Swanepoel, and all the team that made this possible. And indeed, your story is such an inspiration for me, and I believe for all those who will watch the documentary. I'm sure their lives will be so touched by your bravery and your your determination to conserve the ecological system that we have today. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us and being brave and bold enough to be an inspiration to all of us. So yeah, moving on from South Africa to America comes my second story. And indeed, there's also another hero, though fictional. Superman has been such a life changing story for millions, if not billions of people. The first superhero who inspired all the other heroes that we have today. And it is amazing that we are having a Superman film coming just barely a month from, I mean, away, barely a month away. And the ticket sales, the pre-sales tickets went up just, I think, a little over 24 hours ago, and the site of Fandango has crashed. It has crashed, and this is as a result of the fact that the Superman pre-sales projections, it has soared past it completely, breaking the expectations that was made for the film Superman. That is James Gunn's Superman. So I'd like to read an article published in the movie web that summarizes this story. So I read it. Superman soars past expectations as ticket pre-sales crash Fandango website. The summer movie season is expected to heat up even more in July, with more tentpole releases that are sure to light up the box office. Jurassic World Rebirth kicks things off properly, while it will be a battle between Marvel and DC with the arrival of Superman and the Fantastic Four First Steps. The latter had several websites and apps crash last week when pre-sale tickets became available, and now it appears the Man of Steel is following suit. According to various social media platforms, pre-sales for Superman have crashed the Fandango website for several users looking to buy tickets for the James Gunn directed superhero effort. News of the site crash coincided with Prime early screening tickets going on sale this morning to allow those lucky enough to get a ticket to see the film on July 8th, 3 days before its wide release on July 11th. Users had to verify their Prime membership before getting access to the tickets, and it now looks like demand was high enough to crash the Fandango portal. Sorry for my, yeah. So the Superman media blitz is just getting started. It appears the media blitz for Superman is getting ready for to kick into high gear. The film has released two trailers, the first being a teaser and the second being a proper official trailer. And just today, Entertainment Weekly did a full cover piece on the project, which also led to the reveal that a new Wonder Woman film is in development at DC Studios. With the Prime early screening tickets going on sale a little over a month before Superman hits theaters, it just shows that the DC studio is doing everything they can to get fans excited about the upcoming DCU release. It'll be interesting to see the battle of the two superhero titles between Superman and the Fantastic Four First Steps. On social media, some aren't even making it a battle, even though the films don't open on the same weekend. Some on social media are looking at both titles as a sort of superhero Barbenheimer situation, where fans of both projects can come together to ensure both movies are successful. That would honestly be a superhero moment. Written and directed by Gunn, Superman serves as the first film in the new DC universe and is a proper reboot of the Superman series of films. The movie chronicles Clark Kent Superman's David Consuet journey to find a balance between his Kryptonian beginnings and his Superman life with his adoptive family in Smallville, Kansas. Gunn has said that the film is inspired by the comic book All-Star Superman written by Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely. In addition to Consuet, the film also stars Rachel Brosnahan, Nicholas Hoult, Eddie Gatheki, and Anthony Carrigan, Nathan Fillion, and Isabel Merced. Yeah, so that is the story, the second story, and that is Superman for you. That is Superman for you. So, I mean, I'm excited about Superman, James Gunn Superman, and just as I've said, I like Man of Steel so much, but for what James Gunn has done with this film, looking at the scenes that I've seen in the trailer so far, I'm so excited about this. I don't know about you. I'm excited because this Superman sort of takes a different take from what we've seen in Man of Steel. And just as every other Superman has done, everybody brings his own take or angle to the Superman from adapting stories from the comic books. And James Gunn has said that he sort of his story or his version of Superman is inspired by All Star Superman, and it's bringing to it the law in that comic books to bear in what he's doing in this movie. And all the scenes or shots that have been shown so far in Superman points to a very epic, grand Superman that perhaps we've never seen before. Yes, we saw the the godlike nature of Zack Snyder's Superman, but in this Superman, it's more epic in its scale. I wouldn't really be able to tell yet until I see the film itself. But it looks like this is going for a more grander scale than perhaps we might have experienced in the or seen in the Man of Steel. And from what we've seen so far, is it's going to be lighter, and I mean lighter, even though still with dark tones as compared to Man of Steel. So from what has been transpiring so far, it looks like more people are expectant of this film than was even anticipated. The issue was like there was going to be a lot of people rejecting this. Yes, there's going to be some section of audience who may not really like James Gunn style, and it's okay. I mean, art is subjective, so regardless of how good a film may be or even how terrible a film may be, you have audiences that may like it based on the angle they are coming from, and it's accepted. It's very okay in the industry we find ourselves in. But it looks like James Gunn is approaching it in a way that would draw audiences from different divides. I, for one, the little observation I've had of James Gunn's approach, or perhaps DC's or Warner Brothers' approach to this very reboot or reiteration of Superman, I feel like it's being done such a way that it's going to bring together all DC fans who may prefer one iteration to the other. Because when I watched the very first teaser and trail and then the first trailer, I I could glean from it aspects of the film that would appeal to the Zack Snyder fans, aspect that would appeal even to the Superman Bryan Singer's Superman's Return fans and that of the Christopher Reeve fans. So because I can sense even in the scoring, I could feel the vibes of the John Williams score. Even though yes, the song in its totality is inspired or is like the version of John Williams score, but retooled in so to speak. But I could also feel the Hans Zimmer edginess of what we experienced or encountered in the Man of Steel. So even in the score itself, I could feel the effort being made by James Gunn and DC to appeal to a wider audience, and it's amazing. I will not be able to. I mean, I know people may have different opinion with regards to what I'm saying, but that is the experience I encountered watching these films. And even in the film itself, you could tell that David Consworth went the approach of Christopher Reeve, albeit a little different. But one YouTuber, I don't remember his name, did an analysis of David Consworth's acting, being able to bring about a clear distinction as to who Clark Kent is and who Superman is, so that if you live in the world of the Metropolis in James Gunn's movie, you could clearly, you will not be able to easily tell that they are both David, I mean Clark Kent and Superman is but one person. So I feel like they are drawing inspiration not just from the comics but from different areas of or different films that has preceded it to be able to unite the DC fans. And I'm excited about that because, I mean, it would be wonderful to have all fans find something that they love about this film. And so far, I think that James Gunn has done a good job with this film. And the actors in there are exceptional. You know, Nathan Fillion, Eddie Gatheki, and Richard Brosnan. These are all exceptional actors coming together to realize James Gunn's vision, and it's amazing. And for the ticket sales already crashing the site, well, it looks like it will be having a very big opening weekend. So far, I think the opening weekend we have is that of, I think, North America and some parts of Europe or so. So by the end of the first weekend, come July 8th, which is the special screening before the world premiere on July 11th itself, we it will once the numbers come in, that's when we're going to know how big of a weekend opening weekend it is. So I'm sure come July 13 thereabout, we should know in its totality how much Superman made in its first weekend, and perhaps whether it's going to have that mileage, that long legs to be able to cross certain milestones in its box office expectations. So it is indeed good, and I like the idea that some, comic book fans or film fans in general are looking at another Barbenheimer uh, coming back in the form of Fantastic Four and Superman, and I think it's beautiful because film is film, regardless of which studio it's coming from. The idea is that I for one appreciate, even back then in the old DCEU, I appreciated what the DCEU was doing, and at the same time, I also appreciated very very much what Marvel was doing, and they offered something of a different variety that I enjoyed on both scales. Yes, some movies weren't the best, and I would admit that I didn't like some movies in the DCEU, but I appreciated both sides offering. I mean, approaching it differently from each other. And I think what James Gunn here is doing is also wonderful. And I think fans trying to enjoy both is the way to go. There's no need for um, trying to hate one studio over the other. If the whole thing, what matters the most is that if it's a good movie, then we would all appreciate it, regardless of which studio it's coming from. So that is what we are looking for: good story, good movies, wonderful stories being told, regardless of which faction of DC or Marvel is coming from. So I'm really excited about this good news about. I mean, for Superman, with regards to the pre-sales tickets. So far, we would have to wait till July 8th to hear perhaps the reviews or reactions of those who watched it as to whether it's that good or not. But I have always said, knowing what James Gunn has been able to do in time past, he's really been consistent with his stories, and his stories always have depth of character and always also have levity, and he's able to also balance that with grittiness and darkness. So James Gunn, I'm sure, knows his stuff very well, knows his comic books very well, and he's going to be able to translate properly on screen Superman, perhaps on a scale that we have never experienced before. So I'm excited for this already, and I'm already looking forward to July 11th and see what he has to offer us on the silver screen. So yeah, this sums up my stories for today's episode, and thank you so much for joining me. I'll be coming your way again tomorrow for another episode of the Film Mandate. I'm Papa Otu. See you soon.